Hi and welcome back. So this is part 2 of the VW seat computer repair. Now I've got the parts, they've turned up to replace the high-speed diodes on it. And remember, if this doesn't work, I recommend that he just gets another second-hand unit, because cost-wise and time-wise it's going to be cheaper for him in the long run. So anyway, sit back, grab a drink, and let's get on and see how we go. Right, hi guys, so welcome back. This is part 2. So the parts have come in from China. These are the high speed diode packs that I needed to replace the ones that are on the board, and for the price, 10 is cheaper. So I've got those, so I've got plenty of spares if I ever need any for anything else. So I'll just grab a pair of cutters. Okay, so I'll just grab a pair of cutters and I'll take off the 2 we need. Right. And the others I'll put back in the plastic bag and stick them away so we can keep them somewhere safe, and hopefully remember we've got these if we need them next time. Anyway, so we'll pop those up and out of the way. So the unit's here, that's the case from it and that. So I actually took the unit off. I didn't show you guys desoldering these surface mount diodes, because when I had a look at it, they were in a really tricky place. Sorry, I had to get something to point with. One was here. Down. So what I'll do is I'll just zoom in. Hang on a sec. Okay, so why I didn't show you is because one was here and one was here, and they're right next to plastic. Well, this one's not too bad, it's right next to this relay. This one is right next to the relay and right next to this plug. So the problem I had was I melted the corner of this here, and I melted a little piece of the plastic of this down here where the legs were. So when I thought I'll just check this first, because I have to use hot air to heat up these planes to be able to desolder these chips. So the problem is I couldn't do it and have you on video at the same time. Sorry about that, guys. We are going to do some more stuff later on where you can actually see this. But when I removed them, I removed that one, and then when I took the second one off, it actually had a fracture in it, and one of the legs came away. So I'm really hoping, put it that way, that this is where our fault lies. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get on with it. We're going to get these two ready, bit of flux and some solder on here. Then we'll go through resetting these on. I'm going to have to use hot air to do it. So you will see me put them back on with the hot air. The 2 feet will be fine down the bottom here. It's just these big planes here that need a lot of heat to actually get them to solder. So I'll get everything ready and we'll get on with it. Okay, so we're all ready to go now. I've got all the bits in place, the solder, the paste, and a pick, and cutters, and I've turned on the hot air and the soldering iron. So what I'll do is I'll just get some isopropyl and give these a quick clean up first. And it always pays to give them a bit of a clean before you actually go and do it. It just gets any if it's been sitting for a little bit, it just gets rid of all the imperfections and that may be around and cause you an issue with it adhering to the board and the solder taking. So let's give those a good clean, just get rid of any of the gunk and tarnishing that may have happened. Yeah, that's cool. That's all done. Let's put that in my bottle of isopropyl and put that back out the way now. So we'll use that again when we finish because we've got to clean this up. So what I will do is I'll put a little bit of solder on here. And a bit on there. Put some down here and down here. Down here and down here. So what I will do to start with is I'll heat this up with the hot air. What I will do is I'll get some foil and I'll just cover these so I don't overheat them like I did last time. So give me a second, I'll just grab some foil. Right, so I'm back. So you can use Kapton tape. I don't have any at the moment. The other thing you can use is just cooking foil, tin foil. There is also a foil tape you can buy, and I know a lot of the $2 shops or Chinese shops or whatever you want to call them, they have it, and you can use that as well. But tin foil works just as well, and it's fairly cheap, so usually just get it, and you don't need a huge piece, so we just need to cut it down. Use the edge of the board. Right, so what you want to do is probably fold it over a couple of times, just so it's only to dissipate the heat is all we want it for. So we don't want it to so we can physically melt plastic and that. So what we want it for is so we can stop things getting melted. So what we will do is we will put a piece, fold that over about 3 or 4 times, put a piece up and around here. It's also good too because you don't want the heat getting to capacitors and that as well, because you get a lot of heat into your capacitors and that, and they can explode on you, and it's not much fun. So that's just one thing to be wary of as well. So this one might be a bit trickier because this is the one right next to where the legs and that are going to go in. So we might have to do a little bit of massaging to get this in. I'm not too worried about the pins on the second one here by the plug. I'm more worried about getting that main pad down. So we might put a bit more and go over the top of that plug, I think. But as I say, this stuff is so cheap. And the thing is I know this is aluminium foil. Some of the cheap Kapton tape you can get nowadays from China and places like that, I'm not saying it all is, but just some of it you can get these days, it's not Kapton tape. You can you get it and you put heat near it and it's like sellotape. It just goes and that's it, it's gone. So yeah, so if you're going to get it from a reputable supplier. So we just use the hot air, just let it get up to temperature a little bit. Move solder out the way. So yep, so what we'll do is we're just going to, and the thing is with hot air, you don't hold it in one place. You hold it in one place and you're going to actually cause issues on the board. So you just gently move it around, you just go side to side. So all we want to do is to warm the board up. Just there's a bit of heat in the board so the solder will flow a lot better. We don't want it. And the other thing is with my air, I don't have it on a very hard pressure or blowing very hard, because if you do that sometimes you can dislodge the other surface mount stuff. So we'll see how that goes. We'll get the soldering iron and a bit of solder and see how this sits. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Yeah, that's flowing on there pretty well. Yeah, it's just starting to cool down now, you can tell with the soldering iron. So, what I'm going to do, now you got to remember guys, there is right ways and wrong ways to doing things, and I'm not saying I'm 100% right in the way I'm doing things, but this is the way I do it and it seems to work. So for me, this is the way I'm going to do it. So what we need, a pair of tweezers, and this is just so for when it heats up and it gets hot enough, we've got to move it into the right position so we can get the legs and that in the right place for it. So, pick up the hot air gun. So what we can do is we can add a little bit more flux down in there to get that solder going. Rightio. That's done, and now we'll go down and we'll now solder these feet in. One. Just run some solder along the edge here. Yeah. Cool. Right. Yep. Yep. And they're all soldered down fine. So those are all on. So the next one is exactly the same on this side here, but as you can see, as I told you, it's a little bit tricky because it is so confined in this space. So just bear with me if I get a little bit out of focus or out of shot or in your face or something like that, because I am trying to get this on. So I'll move this one over here, and now we'll go with this one. This one's not as bad because there's a bit of heat in the board still, so the foil's a little bit warm. Yep, and that one is down. I may have to pull this foil out to get these two last legs because they're right beside the socket. Yep, you can definitely tell that's a bit warm. Might put a little bit more flux. Flux is not a bad thing, guys. It's a good thing when you're soldering. So if anything, too much is better than not enough at times. So just go through and we'll do these 2 feet. So these should be fairly easy. Put a little bit much on that one. That's cool. That's good. As you can see, she started getting a bit warmer, even with the yeah, it's all solid. That's good. So as you can see, it even started getting a bit warm with the foil on it, and that's just because it is such an encased area. So alright, so that's all done for the guy. So that was a rather quick one, so I'm sorry you had to wait so long for that. But the problem is a lot of the stuff's got to come in from overseas, from China, and that's the problem with it. It takes so long to come over. So what we can do is a bit of isopropyl, give that a clean, take all that flux off. Everything looks okay. Stuff looks alright. I'll just get a brush. And just get right in and around the stuff and give it a good clean. And that's the other thing is, you know, always have a good selection of quite stiff bristle painting brushes. It's good for using with your IPA or isopropyl to clean your components on your boards and that. So it's, just make sure you have some good brushes around for doing that. Give that a bit of a rub and clean. It's a bit hard to get the kitchen paper down in here, the handy towels. So use cotton bud. Just be careful you don't leave any fibres floating around, so because they can potentially become an issue. So just give it a really good look over with a good magnifying glass. Or I actually use, I don't actually have glasses. These are hobby glasses, and over here you pay, depending on where you go to, anywhere from $3 to $9 for a pair, and I buy generally 1.5s. That I find they're pretty good for me at the moment. My eyes are starting to get a little bit, but the other ones I buy are the heavier ones, and they are 3s. And they're 3-time magnifiers, and I find they're really good if I want to do very close work on boards and check tracks and pins and things like that. I get a set of 3s, and I think you can buy up to 4s, and they're all the same price. So, you know, for the sake of it, if they're $3, you know, get yourself a pair of 1.5s, a pair of 3s, a pair of 4s, or a pair of 2.5s and a pair of 4s, or something like that. They're really, really good when you want to look at really fine stuff on boards and check tracks and that, and it saves you having to buy microscopes and things like that. Okay, so that's just something that you know, you guys can get and use, and it's something that's not expensive. So I'm just having a look at this board and make sure everything's still okay. Yep, those look all fine. Yep, those look all fine. Yeah. I think that's alright. It's just that there, so that was when this is what happened when I took it off, getting the heat in here, and it started to melt, and I actually had to get it out, to get this one out down the end down here. I actually had to take a piece of the bit out of the bottom, out of here, so I could get the soldering iron to these legs, to get these legs off. So I had to actually cut away, and I had to use my probe to get in there and to break little bits out to get the base of this away so I could actually get to it. Because obviously these were put on last when they've done the boards, and because of the heat and so forth. And yeah, and they're right next to it. It's a, yeah. I only did it for a mate, so I was sort of like, well, meh, it's not something I'd do on a daily basis, I can tell you that much. So anyway, so that all seems to be done. Give it a bit of a rub with the paper towel, I suppose. Yeah, that's cooling down really good now. And just get in there and pick up anything that might be left on there. Have a look. Our brush should have dried out by now. So we can probably get in there and give it a little bit of a flick around with the dry brush, just to make sure there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. Yeah, I think that looks all pretty good, guys. So we'll I'll just give the case a bit of a dust. So I'll drop this off to the guy, and tomorrow, it's night time here at the moment, so it's actually Sunday night, so I'm doing this. As I said to you guys before, I'm sort of semi-retired. The wife's down in the lounge room watching TV, and I sort of thought, well, I can't really be bothered with it, so I'll come up here and finish this job off and make a video for you guys so you can see what I'm doing. As I say, it's not the sort of thing I usually do, but hey, you know, it should be basic electronics, and if it's basic electronics, it's a bit grubby, so if it's basic electronics, then it shouldn't be too hard, you know. There's the basic laws of physics that run with electronics, and as long as you sort of follow those, you're not going to go too far wrong. So that pops down in here, and that's why I was glad he did this. This thing's got little clips around all the sides, and it's a bugger. If you hear it when it goes in, and we click like that. Now you can't pull that out. That is actually in there. Now you got to push a clip here. You got to push a clip here. You got to push a clip over here and over here to try and. That's one, and then there's 4 on this one too. So that's why I say it's a bloody curse of a thing to get off if it's on there, and that's why I was quite happy that he had it off when he brought it around. So this goes up and on, and it should go up and on and go over those clips. That one, and then this one. Alright, done. So I'll take, as I say, I'll take this back to the guy tomorrow, and he can put it back in his car and hopefully get back to me and say, yeah, she's all working good. But as I say, I had no schematics or anything on this thing, so I don't know where a lot of the ins and outs and what else it was going to, etc, etc. So yeah, that's better. Just need a bit of tweaking on the case there to get it to sit properly. That's all sitting down good now. Yeah, cool. Alright, so that was a short and sweet one, guys, so I'll leave that there. Keep an eye out. I've got some DIY videos coming up shortly, so keep an eye out for those. There's a few little tools you can build yourself at home that are very, very handy in the workshop. So keep an eye out for those. They won't be too far away, and I will see you next time. Just before I take off out on this one, guys, the Spectra video 3 to 8 we did, it came back to haunt me again, and it was to do with the keyboard. Oh, I actually forgot. Was that pin, that where I marked pin 1 on it, pin 1 and pin 2 actually goes nowhere. They don't actually go onto the motherboard, onto the main board. So when I did the 25 pins, I only needed 23, not 25. So what I did is I actually redone the cable a second time, and the first 2 pins, 1 and 2, I actually combined them together onto one wire. So I did 24, because when you follow it way down, if you start from the far end and come across, because the last one on the left goes to a connection on the motherboard, so when you go that way across, you actually find that 24 and 25 actually went nowhere. They didn't actually physically end up plugging into the board. So I just thought I'd mention that to you guys and let you know that. So other than that, the key, everything's working fine on that machine, and it's running really well, and I'm quite happy with it. So I've boxed it all back up and put it in its box and put it all back away. There's a bit more of that sort of stuff coming up. I do have quite a collection of Spectra video gear,